All right, looks like we are live. What's up, metalheads? Welcome back to another episode of Full Metal 5, where we discuss the 5 best someone, something, a genre, doesn't matter. Tonight, we will be drinking your milkshake, the best films of Daniel Day-Lewis in honor of the wide release of Phantom Thread this week, allegedly his last movie. I am joined with a stacked panel tonight. First with you know this guy, you love him. And his show was named after one of his movies, for God's sakes. It's Henry Confidential, Henry Sanchez. Henry, what's up?
What's up? This one's going to be a lot of fun because there's going to be some controversial opinions on some of his performances, but the ones that are top tier are top tier, and there's no question.
All right, right on. Also next to him, another returning to the show. He is the Devil Tribute. He is the Hobbit himself, Robert Parker. Robert, what's up?
Not much. I'm doing great. I'm interested to hear all of Henry's controversial opinions and yell at him for all of them. And I'm excited to just talk Daniel Day-Lewis in this show.
I swear to God, Henry, if you nominate 9, we're kicking you off of this thing.
I almost rented it today, so you never know.
All right, and we actually have 2 new people today. First of all, we have Jessica Morgan. Jessica, how you doing?
Hello. If you hear random noises, it's just cats. No worries.
Right on. And finally, rounding out the panel, of Eli, Alan. Dan, what's up?
Hey, I'm doing good. I've been binge watching Daniel Day-Lewis movies the last 2 days to prepare for this, but I've seen all these movies plenty of times over the years. I just figured, what the hell, I'll just binge watch all of these so I'm up to date on my controversial opinions, as Henry says.
All right. So the way this show works is we curate a list in 3 selecting processes. First one is the nomination period. What we're going to do is we're going to each go around and nominate various Daniel Day-Lewis movies until we get to a top 7. And we'll go from there. In order for a film to make top 7, it has to get 3/5 majority votes. The nomination process. There are a lot to choose from because he's done a lot of great movies over the years. I was gonna go with one, but I'm gonna let Henry do it just because reasons, and he knows why. I'm gonna go with Lincoln. I think it encapsulates everything we love about Daniel Day-Lewis, because when he commits to a role, the dude commits. Because I never saw Daniel Day-Lewis on screen in that movie. I literally think they got in a DeLorean, gunned it to 88, found Lincoln, and put him in a movie in 2012. The dude is phenomenal. It was his most recent win for Best Actor, and you can clearly see why. The dude became Lincoln. He embodied him perfectly. And on top of that, the movie itself is fantastic. You got great supporting cast from Tommy Lee Jones, Sally Field, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And it makes history very interesting to watch. Subject that could be very boring to some. It makes it really engaging. So Lincoln is my first nomination. Henry first. Henry, make top 7.
Anybody else hear him? I can't hear what he's saying.
I'm about to ask. Can anybody hear you, Henry? We'll come back to you. Let's go to Robert first. Robert, Lincoln.
Yeah, Lincoln absolutely deserves to be in the top 7. In my opinion, it's probably top 2. Like, this was going to be the first one I nominated as well. Absolutely, hands down, Lincoln deserves to be in contention here.
Okay, now don't show your cards too early, buddy. Let's save that for later. Dan, look, we'll go to Dan next. Dan, does Lincoln make top 7?
You know, I watched it yesterday again for about the 5th time, and I'll tell you what, if you want to really get a political movie about politics and how our government works and the back and forth between the Republicans and the Democrats, and this movie takes place back in 200 years ago. This is back in the 1700s, and I'll tell you what, I mean, Steven Spielberg really does a great job. I mean, the people in the backgrounds, the shops, the streets, the everything. And if you look at the cast of this movie, it's got Adam Driver, it's got David Oyelowo, it's got people from The Walking Dead, it's got Dane DeHaan, it's got a 3 or 2-time Oscar winner Sally Field is in it. I mean, this is easily one of Daniel Day-Lewis's best performances, and probably one of Steven Spielberg. It'd be probably close 11, 12, maybe 10. All depends with Steven Spielberg. I mean, he's got so many great films. I mean, definitely, this is a no-brainer to put Lincoln in there.
Right. So that does it. Lincoln is the first movie to make top 7. Your vote didn't count. So what do you, Lincoln? What do you think about it? Would you give it a yes? Jessica.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it was. This one was also on my list. 2 hours of sitting there watching Daniel Day-Lewis and Tommy Lee Jones choose scenery like it was the freaking Nathan's hot dog eating contest on the 4th of July was just heaven.
Right on. Cool. All right, and Henry, can we hear you now?
I don't know. Can you?
Yes.
Yeah.
All
Okay,
right.
so what would you say about Lincoln?
Well, to sum up, since all my good scenes were cut, yes, the fact that he made that voice himself and had no reference, and the fact that you totally believe that a 6'5", president of the United States sounds like a little boy, and it's still commanding, and you still would listen to him speech, and it's yes, by far.
Also,
Right.
Dan, Lincoln
So,
takes place in the
Lincoln
1800s, not the 1700s.
Yeah.
Back in before we get YouTube comments, Lincoln does not take place in the 1700s.
Yeah.
That was before America was
he meant 17th century.
Yeah.
thing.
It's also
Yeah, so
still
I
wrong.
think-
That's even
no,
more.
no,
Sorry.
still wrong. We get what you mean. So,
I tried to
Henry,
help you.
since you get to talk of that, I will let you nominate the next movie. So, Henry.
Well, just so no one else talks about it, I'm going to go with movie of a character who's broken, he's deceitful, he's greedy, he is still compelling and charming in a weird way because he's not trying to be. He has such a nature for himself who's like you want to listen to him and you want to follow him. He's a natural leader. He's not afraid to crawl, 15 miles, 30 miles in the dirt. If he breaks his leg, there'll be blood. There's no blood, or at least not that much, but there'll be blood. Yeah, I want to see what other people have to say. I talk about it enough.
Okay.
I want to hear other people's thoughts, finally.
The movie on the table is There Will Be Blood. Your vote didn't count last time, so we will go to you first. Is There Will Be Blood make top 7?
Actually, I kind of had this one as like an honorable mention of his. I think there's enough other much better roles that Daniel Day-Lewis has done outside of Daniel Plainview that it just kind of just scrapes the bottom of the barrel there.
So that's it. So wow, you're gonna know. I'm surprised. I'll go to me next. I'll go to me next. I think There'll Be Blood is. I'll help you, Henry. Because I think There'll Be Blood is a fantastic movie. Great, portrait of man. It's a nearly 3-hour movie that feels like 90 minutes, and
Blows.
you know what it reminds me a lot of? It reminds me of a little known classic film called Citizen Kane. About a man who has everything. Who has everything, but in actuality has nothing. There'll Be Blood gets a big yes from me. But Dan next. Dan, There'll Be Blood doesn't make top 7.
I'll tell you what. I mean, look, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I am not the biggest fan of There Will Be Blood. But when you're talking 7 Daniel Day-Lewis movies, this easily is in the top 7 of his filmography. The guy has not got that many movies. This is one of the best performances he's given in his entire career. Despite what I think about the film, I love Paul Dano in the film. I think Paul Dano is really good in the film, and the subject matter that's in the film that rubbed me the wrong way personally when I first saw it. I was kind of upset when I walked out of the theater when I first saw it, but there's no doubt this is one of Daniel Day-Lewis's best performances, and it's clearly one of the 7 best movies Daniel Day-Lewis has been in his career, so you got to put it in there.
That cuts it. There'll Be Blood. The second movie to get him an Oscar for Best Actor, also gets the second spot on the top 7 list. What would you say about There'll Be Blood, since your vote didn't count?
Absolutely would have said yes. A very well-deserved Oscar. Love this movie. Love the performance in the movie. I definitely would have put this in contention for the top 7.
Right on, right on. Okay, so Robert, your vote didn't count last time, so we will go to you next. What do you think goes in the top 7 Daniel Day-Lewis movies?
Sure. So I'm going to go with the movie that he was nominated for an Oscar for, that he is absolutely captivating on screen. You cannot take your eyes off him any second of this movie, and that's Gangs of New York. Gangs of New York, I think, you got it right there, Dan. Gangs of New York, I think, is an amazing movie. I think he gives a great performance in it, and there's just no doubt in my mind that this deserves to be in the talks for the top 7 Dan Day-Lewis movies.
Okay. Let's go to Henry first. Henry, what do you got to say about?
So you have Daniel Day-Lewis and Leonardo DiCaprio going head to head, and that is just so much fun because A, Daniel Day-Lewis is an amazing actor, and B, Leonardo DiCaprio at the time was just up and coming, and this is his first role after Titanic that was like, oh, this guy is more than just, Jack. So that was so much fun. That opening scene with him and Liam Neeson and just all the stuff that goes with that, and the fact that he has so many quotable lines. He says so much despicable stuff, but you just buy it, and you're just like, yeah, I'm cool with this guy. And at some of the scenes, you can get behind him. So you don't know if he's a villain, if he's just a guy who's just on the other side. You don't know what, and that's just how well the performance is and how well it is written. The movie as a whole might not be as great as some of the other movies and all that stuff, as the dogs are agreeing with me, Who Let the Dogs Out, but the performance is going to definitely alone is going to at least get in the top 7.
All right. I will go. My big hang up is a thing you brought up, Henry, is that like the movie itself, like okay, aside from Dan Day-Lewis, first of all, Dan Day-Lewis in that movie characters, that is the only time he has actually played a cartoon. Like, he is just so big and over the top in that movie. I'll watch, but I don't think it's as nuanced as I think some of his other nuanced or as good as some of his other work. And the movie on a whole, I don't think holds up as much. It's a little over long, and Cameron Diaz in that movie is just awful. Speaking for me, I'm gonna give it a no, actually. To Jessica next. Jessica, Gangs of New York, does it make the list?
Oh, by the skin of its ass, it makes the list.
All right. Well,
it
doesn't matter what I say.
If it wasn't for that bitch. You know what somebody's got to say.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if it wasn't, I think you replaced Cameron Diaz in that movie, it would have been a lot better. So doesn't matter what I say. Gangs of New York makes top 7. You didn't get a vote. What would you have said?
Yeah, definitely. You got to. I mean, you're thinking 7 here, and Daniel Day-Lewis, I've said it before, doesn't have the largest filmography. So you got to take some of the most notable roles, and Bill the Butcher is clearly one of his most noticeable and out there crazy performances. The guy's done all kinds of different kinds of characters, but he brings it every single time. And Bill the Butcher is definitely one of his better performances of his career.
Okay. Right on. All right, but Dan, your vote didn't count last time. What do you want to nominate to go top 7?
Well, this is a absolute no-brainer. You want to talk about a no-brainer? My Left Foot. Daniel Day-Lewis plays a paraplegic who only has the use of one limb, and it's his left foot. And he plays the character by the name of Christy Brown, and this is in Ireland. And he lives with like 5 other brothers and sisters, and his parents barely can take care of the family. But something in him, something drives him to succeed, and he starts learning how to write with his left foot, and that leads him to become a painter. And then he writes his own autobiography with his own left foot. And we see some framing sequences in the movie about him being honored for this autobiography about his life. And Brenda Fricker plays his mother. She won an Oscar for this movie for Best Supporting Actress. Daniel Day-Lewis is arguably at the top of his game in My Left Foot.
Okay. My left foot is on the movie, not my actual left foot. Let's go to Jessica first. Jessica, make top 7.
Can we really leave off his first Oscar win? The answer is no. There's a reason that he wins Best Oscar, Best Actor for this film. It's fucking amazeballs.
All right.
And him going completely full method and just tooling around for that entire shoot just in a wheelchair, only doing anything with his left foot. Like, have you ever tried to do anything with your left foot? I can't even kick a football.
I'm a righty, so no, I have not tried. Henry, does it make top 7?
This is a type of movie where it's like, if take away the performance and the movie itself is okay. I don't really like the direction. I don't like Jim Sheridan really as a director, and I don't like how he does the movies. If it wasn't for, I like his writing way better. Like, he writes good movies, but I feel like the directing's a little lackluster. You can tell it's like low budget, and it's, he doesn't do anything amazing. But Daniel Day-Lewis does do really well, and the dinner scene alone where he's talking to the girl that he really likes, and she reveals like, oh, well, I'm marrying this guy, and how he flips out and goes crazy, and he's making a scene, and now how you have his siblings and his friends reacting to it, still shocked that he's going as crazy as he is, even though they're so used to it. And it's just one of those where it's like, no matter what you go through, you still never really get used to, being embarrassed in public in a sense. And that scene was done really well. And Daniel Day-Lewis's performance as a whole was done really well. And at no point did you ever think it was like mocking, like the mentally challenged or disabled or anything. And it just felt genuine because of how good of an actor he is and how good of his performance he was. And as early as it was in his career, that's really impressive. So by the slimmest of margins, I'll say yes.
So My Left Foot makes top 7. Robert, what would you have said?
Yeah, I mean, Dan mentioned it earlier. As far as Daniel Day-Lewis does have a relatively small filmography for considering how long he's been around. So he does pick his projects fairly. He's a little bit picky. He really does become the character. You really see that transformation on screen. And I mean, absolutely, that's exactly what you see in this movie. As far as this is his first Oscar win, you really do just see him meld into the character. So for the performance alone, you got to give it a spot.
Yeah, like you brought up the fact that like he is very picky. Seeing his thought process when he decided to do the movie 9. And did they kidnap his family? Did they tell him how to make shoes? What else is behind that? So, anyway, Jessica, you are the only one that has not gotten to nominate something yet, so we will let you go next. What? 7.
Okay, and I think as we just established, Henry's not the biggest fan of this man's work, but I have In the Name of the Father. I have this total soft spot in my heart for dramas involving the IRA in the 60s to the 80s, and this movie is... if it wasn't for the fact that this movie came out in 1993 alongside things like Philadelphia and Schindler's List, people would remember this movie a hell of a lot more. It just kind of gets overshadowed by those other two films. I think it's one of his better performances.
All right, so In the Name of the Father is on the table. We'll go to Robert next. Your vote didn't count. The Father, make top 7.
Yeah, so In the Name of the Father is really an interesting one. Out of all the performances that he's been nominated for an Oscar for, I think this is maybe the one where, you know, he does give a really good performance, and I'm like, okay, yeah, he probably did deserve to be nominated. But out of his all of his nominations, I think this is his least of his performances, which is saying something because he's such a fantastic actor. So In the Name of the Father, for me, I am gonna say yes to this, but I don't foresee this sticking around in the top 5.
I'm gonna go to Henry next. I think I know where he's going with this. So, In the Name of the Father, does it make top 7?
So similar with My Left Foot, Jim Sheridan's writing of this movie is really, really, really good, but its direction is not the greatest. Like, it's based on a true story, and it mainly focuses on I can't think of his name right, but the main character and the dad, because I've only seen it once and I just saw it recently. But it only focuses really on the main character and the dad once you get into the prison, and it just kind of throws away all of the side characters of his friend, his aunt that got framed, and all those people and his cousins. And it's just like that's kind of bogus, because those are real characters that you should have had a couple scenes going on them. And it's a 2 hour and 10-minute movie, and you only have 10 minutes of those characters. So the direction, once again, is really lackluster, but the writing is really good and the performances is really good. This is actually the opposite of what Robert says. I really think this performance is really, really, really good, and I wouldn't have been surprised if he actually would have won for this year, other than the fact that, you know, Tom Hanks in Philadelphia. So that was a tough battle. So I'm gonna say yes. Yeah, I'm gonna say yes. I actually really did like this movie, and I think it was just, once again, taken down by the direction. It was not directed really great, but the story and the acting is just so good that it's hard to deny how good of an overall movie it is.
Like, no matter how good your performance is, you can't beat AIDS. So actors take notes on that.
Magic Johnson has beaten them, so.
Unless you're Magic Johnson, you can't beat it. In the Name of the Father, work with Jim Sheridan. I'll give this one the yes. I do think it's a great legal thriller. I do think, I kind of lean towards Henry. I do think, while the direction is kind of off at points, what keeps you invested in this movie are the performances, and especially that of Daniel Day-Lewis, who is one of performance, but that's still, and you're with him start to finish. I think it's a great film, and yeah, I'll give it top 7 for sure.
The interrogation scenes where he's just breaking down, it's just like, man, this guy's good.
Oh yeah, those scenes were great. Let's go to Dan. Your vote didn't count. Your vote didn't count this round. What would you say about In the Name of the Father?
Well, I mean, Jerry Conlon is an interesting character, and, you know, Giuseppe Conlon, played by Pete Postlethwaite, they're really kind of cool team together, the father-son, and the father really cared about his son, and the son was kind of like a freewheeling kind of guy, just wanted to go out and have fun and drink and hang around with girls and do all this stuff. And I honestly, for me, I had 3 other movies that I would have put ahead of In the Name of the Father. That's just personally for me. I mean, I rewatched it yesterday, and it's a good movie and it's a good performance, but I just had 3 other movies I would have put in front of it, so I would have said no.
Okay, well, as of 5-7, and now we are back to me. Okay, now I know we just did 2 Jim Sheridan movies in a row, but this is the last one, I swear. The Boxer. Like Lincoln, I think, showcases the best Daniel Day-Lewis can be. Day-Lewis in that movie, you read stories about it. The dude trained for 1.5 years, to the point where, like, his trainer said if he wanted to fight professionally, he could have. He got that good. And even on top of that, like In the Name of the Father, the elements of the IRA are really good. You can almost edit You get almost kind of and In the Name of the Father together, and you just have a pretty cohesive movie. Tonally, it's a great sports drama, and I think it's a good watch for Daniel Day-Lewis. So I'm throwing out The Boxer. And first, Dan, does The Boxer make top 7?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it does. Danny Flynn, he just gets out of prison and he kind of wants to go and do his own thing. He wants to set up this gym and he wants to kind of get away from the IRA, but they won't leave him alone. It's like, wait a minute here. This guy just wants to be a boxer, and then you got these warring factions of the IRA and they won't leave the guy alone. And I really, really love The Boxer, and I love the character of Danny Flynn, played by Daniel Day-Lewis. So I would definitely vote yes for The Boxer.
Okay, right on. That's one for The Boxer. Let's go to Henry next. Henry, does The
like what you said about his training and how seriously he took it. And boxing movies are one of those type of movies where if you don't, there's one of two things you really need to care about: the actual boxing or the character going before, like outside of the boxing ring. And the fact that Daniel Day-Lewis was able to do both so well, and the fact that this actually a movie where the direction's not so bad because it's kind of more focused on this character, and I really enjoy his, like you said, his transformation. It's just me being a sports fan. I was really liking how he was able to make that turn and be the guy who's like long haired and on a movie we haven't talked about, or in The Name of the Father, or playing a guy in a wheelchair, and then he did something like this. So it was really impressive. So yeah, I'm gonna go yeah.
So that's it. The Boxer makes top 7. Robert and Jessica, you didn't get a vote. You said it to The Boxer. Would you have said yes?
Yeah, for me, definitely. This is actually the one I was going to nominate next. This is a perfect example of him really melding into a character, as you were saying, with his training. I mean, you really see how, he gets out of prison. He's a broken man just trying to rebuild his life, and he plays that very, very well. So it would have been a yes for me, for sure.
All right. And Jessica, what would you have said about The Boxer?
Remember what I said earlier about having a soft spot for IRA, for movies about the IRA, especially during the 60s to the 80s? Yeah, this was making my list.
I'll go back to Henry. No more Jim Sheridan, I promise. So Henry, what do you want to nominate?
So this one's tough because I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of this movie, and I don't think it's great. But from what people say and how they like it, and the fact that it's a good set piece and it's got some actually pretty good action and a really, really, really good score, so it's well made. It's just not for me personally, but just out of respect for film, I'm gonna go with The Last of the Mohicans.
Okay. So on the table right now is A White Guy Saves the Natives. Let's go to Robert. Robert, does Last of the Mohicans make the list?
How many do we have on the list right now?
This would be the last one.
6.
We have 6 right now? As much as there is one more I want to put above this, I am going to say yes, just because I definitely don't think it's Daniel Day-Lewis's best movie, but I do think it still has its moments. It does have some good set pieces. Henry brought up the score. The score is really well done in this movie.
Fantastic.
I just think there are some really, really great parts of this movie, and I don't think the movie as a whole works 100% of the time, but there are certain moments that you can pick out as just, man, that is a damn good moment in a film. So definitely is a yes for me, even though there is one thing I would like to put on above this.
You could have voted no, but whatever.
That's all right.
Jessica,
I'm not selfish.
Up next to the vote, does White Guy Saves the Natives make the list?
White Guy Saves the Natives makes the list.
All right.
It hurts, but White Guy Saves the Natives makes the list.
You don't have to say yes. You could have said no, but all right, whatever. So, our
I
top
love him in it, and
seven.
it's damn pretty of a movie.
Just not for me.
I mean, it is good looking. It is all directed. What would you say about Last of the Mohicans?
Yeah, I was hoping that Henry was going to say something else so I could vote it down, but he said the movie that I was going to vote next. So I loved it. I watched it again yesterday, and I'll tell you what, I love. You get so many of our Indian actors, which we don't get to see, like West Stevens, people like that. We get colonial movies about colonial America back in those times. We don't get a lot of those types of movies, so this is one of the better ones, actually. And Daniel Day-Lewis gives a great performance. He gets to do some action too, so gets to shoot a bow and arrow and do some shooting of guns and do some crazy stuff. That's interesting because I don't see him doing that sort of stuff that often in his movies. So yeah, I would have voted yes for The Last of the Mohicans. Oh, okay.
Might have lost Chance.
Alrighty, so we lost Chance, and that means we have our 7 films. Let's give it a quick rundown of what it is. Most recently, Last of the Mohicans. Then we had The Boxer, In the Name of the Father, My Left Foot, Gangs of New York, Lincoln, and There'll Be Blood. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm gonna give Chance.
I was just gonna.
Go ahead. Yeah. What is the other movie you wanted to talk about? Yeah. What's your honorable mention?
My honorable mention would be The Crucible. This is the movie that's a little bit, it's a little bit divisive for some people, but this is one that I really enjoy on a personal level. So that's the next one I would have nominated that I might have put above Last of the Mohicans, but like we said, he has a pretty narrow filmography, so I'm fine with Last of the Mohicans making it in.
Yeah, while we wait on Chance, I just want to talk about Last Mohicans. It's one of those with Michael Mann directed, and it's like you can just tell that the direction was really good. It's just the story is just like, I don't know if he was afraid to. It's like it doesn't really explain why Daniel Day-Lewis's character is like a part of that culture. Whereas like in Wind River, most recently, you understand why Jeremy Renner's character is within the Native American culture. So it's just like, oh yeah,
yeah, actually it does. His parents were killed, and they found him, and they brought him in to the that tribe.
Okay, well. Given that I didn't remember that, it's just the story itself.
You don't connect with it as much.
You don't feel like it might have been just touched on quickly, but I think his name was what, Hawkeye. That was pretty, or no, his name is Nathaniel Daniel Poe, something like that.
Nathaniel Poe.
Yep. Hawkeye.
Yeah.
His name is Hawkeye.
That was his Native American name.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Hawkeye of all names.
Yeah. Especially since I just talked about Wind River.
Speaking of Wind River and Jeremy Renner.
That was a good tie-in right there.
Segue.
All right. So since we still lost Chance, let's go ahead and we're going to nominate a movie that we want to take out of the top 7. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first. I'm going to go with the one that we just barely made it on the list. I'm going to go with The Last of the Mohicans. I think it's not as engaging as the rest of his movies, and I feel like he's not front and center as a performance, and there's nothing that he really does that's Daniel Day-Lewis-esque in this movie. So as far as performance and overall movie, I don't think it definitely holds up to the others, or at least 5 of the others. So I'm gonna go Last Mohicans, not quite in the top 5. Let's go with Robert.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you there. That's the one I was gonna nominate first to take off the list. Like, I have no quarrels with it being in the top 7 Daniel Day-Lewis movies, but I don't think it's top 5. I think there are at least 5 movies that I think, like you said, there are just more things that you think of it as a Daniel Day-Lewis movie where he has just a stunning performance, or the movie is put together in a better way and you connect with the story more. So while I like My Last Mohicans for what it is and does have some great moments, I'm going to have to agree with you and take it off.
All righty. And then I think Chance is loading up right now. So let's go to Dan. Does The Last Mohicans make the top 5, or is it still right on the outskirts?
I'll tell you what, I honestly, of the 7 movies, I think it's definitely top 5 of the 7 movies we nominated. I think, in my opinion, we nominated 1, if not 2 movies that aren't as good, in my opinion, as Last of the Mohicans. So I would definitely put Last of the Mohicans in the top 5.
All righty. And then Jess, Does Last Mohican stay in? At least if we get enough time with Chance to come back, or is Last Mohicans out?
Yeah, I'm kicking it sideways.
It's like
You are going to keep it?
No,
Going to kick it off?
we're kicking it off. I've got 2 of them checked off here as going by buy-in. That's the first one I hit.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So luckily for Chance, we don't need his deciding factor yet, so we can still figure out his connection. So I'm gonna give him a second.
Oh,
We have Chance.
Hey, is there a chance? There might
He's
be a
on it.
chance.
There is a
He might,
chance.
he might
We
be
have
on
a
his
chance.
phone.
Guys, we have an outside chance. Don't worry.
No, I don't know what happened. I can hear everything you're saying, but apparently you couldn't hear me. But
Not
anyway,
even one bit.
Not a little.
that would have taken off, so we're all good.
Cool. 4-1 then on that one. So that was
All right.
fairly-
Well, let's go ahead and get Chance before we lose you again. What do you want to take off the top 7?
What do I want to take off? What do we have left? I want to take off Gangs of New York. I do think Daniel Day-Lewis. Well, like I said, Daniel Day-Lewis as most cartoony, and the movie itself, I don't think holds up as well. I think it's a good movie, but like look at the host of movies he has on the rest of the list. I don't think Gangs of New York holds up as well as the others. So Gangs of New York is my pick. So let's go to who didn't get a vote last? No, everyone got a vote. So let's go to Gangs of New York. Does it stay or does it go?
Who'd you ask?
Jessica.
Oh, shit. As much as I love the cartoon supervillain, I think it's going to have to go.
All right.
One bad actress just spoils the whole movie.
Yeah, Cameron Diaz kind of sours the whole thing. Let's go to Robert next. Robert, does Gangs of New York make it off?
Yeah, this is on the verge of guilty pleasure for me. It's a movie I do really like, but I mean, at the same time, Scorsese has done better. DiCaprio has done better. Day-Lewis has done better. Cameron Diaz doesn't do better. For those reasons, like as much as I do like the movie, I think the other 5 we have on here are better Daniel Day-Lewis movies than the one here.
All right, so that's it. Gangs of New York is off. Wow, this might be the fastest episode we've done yet. All right. So what we do now is we have our 5 movies, which are Lincoln, There'll Be Blood, My Left Foot, In the Name of the Father, and The Boxer. So what we're going to do now is a spot will be up for voting, and we will write down what movie we think deserves to be in that spot. So on your whiteboards, ladies and gentlemen, and write down what movie you think deserves to go in the number 5 spot. Henry's already got it written down.
Because this movie would have been the one that I would have voted off top 7. I would have said yes with Gangs of New York because it has the downfall of being the Scorsese too long of a movie-ism, but for the most part, Cameron Diaz's character is supposed to be she doesn't know who she wants to be. So I think I like that conflict between her, the Butcher, and Leonardo DiCaprio's character. So I feel like that trio was interesting. I like that Daniel Day-Lewis was able to be a cartoon, but when he needed to be serious. I kind of compare him to the guy in The Walking Dead with the dreads, where he literally knows he's playing a character. Yeah. Ezekiel, he knows he's being a character. So when he's making those speeches, he's doing that on purpose, and he's being over the top on purpose because that's what the people expect. But when he had that scene where he's sitting in that rocking chair with the American flag caped over him, or maybe it's a rebel flag, but he's got that flag over him, and he's looking at Leonardo DiCaprio's character. And he gives him that speech of why he got that in his eye, and it's like when he needed to tone it down, he did. So I think you guys are underplaying the movie as a whole, but it's all good.
Still big cartoon, Daniel Day-Lewis. So I'll go first. Everyone's ready.
Yeah.
I said In the Name of the Father.
Ooh.
And then we'll go to Henry next. Henry, what did you say?
So The Boxer.
Really? Robert.
In the Name of the Father.
Jessica.
In the Name of the Father.
Fuck.
All right, that settles it. Dan, what did you say?
I had it on here. In the Name of the Father. You see it, number 5 down there.
All right, so in the name of the Father.
You're only supposed to write one at a time. Don't tell us what the rest.
Yeah,
of
don't tell us what your number one pick is going to be too early.
I was erasing him when he called on me.
Okay, cool. Well, in the name of the Father gets number 5 spot on the list. Now write down what you think goes in the number 4 spot on the list.
By the way, I actually would have wanted Name of the Father to be 3. So there's
Ooh,
that.
really?
I'm surprised.
The only downfall of that movie is the direction. Other than that, it's really good. Its court scenes aren't as good as My Cousin Vinny, but they're still pretty good.
All right, well, Henry, we will go. If you're ready, we'll go to you first.
The Boxer again.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't think you would have changed.
Yeah, Robert.
Yeah, The Boxer.
Jessica.
I have There Will Be Blood. Maybe I just don't get Paul Thomas Anderson films, but
You're a psycho.
it's great, but it's not so great.
All right, Dan.
You can see number 4 there is The Boxer.
Boxer. Yeah.
The Boxer. I also had the Boxer. So the Boxer gets the number 4 spot on the list. All right, now write down what you think goes in the number 3 spot on the list.
This movie I would have had at number 4. And if Gangs of New York would have stayed on the top 5, I might have had this one at number 5.
All right. It looks like we are all ready. I will go first. I have My Left Foot. Now we'll go to Henry next. Henry, what do you put?
My Left Foot.
Roberts.
Yeah, My Left Foot.
Jessica.
I had The Boxer on 3.
Wait, what?
We already took out The Boxer. We have it at 4.
Yeah, screw it. It's number 3.
Okay, breaking the rules, I guess. And Dan.
I had Lincoln at number 3.
Really?
I can respect that.
That's
All
fair.
right. I can respect that too. All right,
Henry,
so,
you had Gangs of New York over My Left Foot?
Yeah, I would have.
wow.
Fair enough.
I don't think outside of the performance, My Left Foot is just a bland movie.
Fair.
That's fair. All right, so now we go. Let's finish off the list. Vote on what you think goes in the number 1 spot.
And number 1. Remember, you can't vote for something we already placed.
So it's
Jessica.
between There Will Be Blood and Lincoln, everybody.
For your number 1.
Jessica might be forced to pick a movie that she didn't want to, similar to me in the top 5 of the year, 2017. Where it's like I did the old switcheroo.
I'm still pissed you guys didn't even freaking put Blade Runner on there. I'm so upset.
Hey, we tried.
I
know you did,
nominated
Chaz.
it.
I know
I
you
nominated
both
it.
did. You guys are not the ones I have beef with from that panel.
Dunkirk.
It's Russell's back and
Dunkirk.
Dunkirk is not in my top 20.
I was not. I'll tell you right now, Dan. I was not voting for Dunkirk.
Chance and I are on the same page.
You guys just don't understand what a great film that is. But
I understand what a great film it was trying to be.
We'll talk about Dunkirk later. But Dan, we'll go to you first. What do you say goes in number 1 spot?
Henry, I hate to do it, but There Will Be Blood.
And Jessica.
Lincoln.
Now you're just a hater.
I thought you were at The Boxer, but yeah, okay. Roberts.
Lincoln.
Ooh.
Henry.
No, you go. I want to be the deciding factor.
We know what yours is going to be, Henry.
All right, There Will Be Blood. You be the deciding factor.
Yeah, that's why I went to you first. I knew what you were gonna put. This was hard, but our number 1 Daniel Day-Lewis movie is There Will Be Blood.
Ah, you fucker.
Damn it.
All right, so I'll give you guys a quick rundown. Our number 5, In the Name of the Father. Our number 4, The Boxer. Our number 3, My Left Foot. Our number 2, Lincoln. And the number 1 Daniel Day-Lewis movie is There Will Be Blood.
I drink
Guys, great.
your milkshake.
That's right.
I drink it up.
Right, folks. We drank it up. All right. So this is a fun one, guys. Anything? Well, each of you. Dan, anything you want to plug?
Yeah, nobody put The Age of Innocence. I wanted to vote it down. But nobody put it on there. But
had Jeremy been here, he would have done it.
Yeah, I had thought somebody would have went for The Age of Innocence, so I could have voted it down. But yeah, what are you gonna do? But you can find me at Dan Skip Allen on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest.
Right on. Jessica, anything you want to say before we close out the show?
I clearly do not get Paul Thomas Anderson films. Yeah, that's fine.
That's fair. He did make Inherent Vice. Robert, anything you want to say before we close out here?
Just that I'm really, really excited to see Phantom Thread. I haven't had the chance to see it yet, but there is some buzz for him getting another Oscar nomination for Phantom Thread, so I'm really excited to see that film. And also, you can follow me on Twitter and Letterboxd at RBRTPRKR98. It's my first and last name, no vowels, plus a year.
Right on. And Henry, just I'll give you your obligatory plug. This is part of us partnerships. So anything you want to say before we close out? Wait,
we can't hear him again. We can't hear him again.
Lost him again. Sorry, no plug.
Oh no! Oh no! Nope. So that's it. Nope.
Nope. Sorry. Okay, I'll do Henry's plugs for him. What about movie games? There'll be trivia. I'm not sure what his Instagram is, but I'm sure he has one. Find him. Join the Facebook page, and also World Movies for him. And as for me, I'm Chance Ellison. Check me out on Twitter, Instagram at ChanceWars91. Join the Film That Media Facebook page. And also follow me on YouTube at Chance the Critic. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next week. Goodbye.